Now that you've bumped up against the hard realities of a $5.4 billion budget shortfall, do you still believe in democratic socialism? Do you still think it can be effective?
I believe in it even more than I did the day before, and that's because of the fact that it is focused on the needs of working people, and working people need that focus, that fight from politicians more than ever.
This dude... Have you ever been around someone and you can just sense that something is off? You don't know them personally, but they have this aura. There's something about them that causes your defensive instincts to increase. That is how I feel every time I see a clip of Zohran Mamdani. Yesterday morning, I'm watching a clip of Zorro and his good friend Barry Obama as they indoctrinate a kindergarten class with the myth of democratic socialism. The wheels on the bus were installed for free, installed for free, installed for free. I promise groceries will cost nothing. This PR stunt between Zorro and Barry, it was supposed to be innocent. It was supposed to be a heartwarming moment between Zorro and the children. Oh, the children! It's all about the children! But every time I see Zorro, I get this overwhelming feeling that Zorro is full of shit. As you saw in the clip, Kristen Welker from NBC asked Zorro what I thought was a great question. How do you feel about democratic socialism, or as the rest of us prefer to call it, communism? How do you feel about communism now that your dump of a city has a budget shortfall over $5 billion? How do you feel about your failed ideology now that you know that you can't fulfill campaign promises by offering free buses, free health care, free groceries, free? Oh, you know, Kristen, I love communism more today than I did yesterday. Communism is very inclusive. It is the only form of government where I can take money from those evil rich people and give it to myself while sharing a microscopic portion of that wealth with people who produce nothing but toxic ass gas. Not only is communism responsible for the deaths of over 100 million people, we have centuries of evidence proving that communism does not work. The Soviet Union, Cambodia, East Germany, Poland, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Bulgaria, Romania, Yugoslavia, Ethiopia, Angola, Somalia, South Yemen. You know what these countries have in common besides the fact that most of them no longer exist? They were destroyed by famine, economic collapse. They were destroyed by communism. So why in the hell would we want to invite that disaster here to America? Like I told you guys before, I don't think Zohran Mamdani is a communist. Uncle Casey, that's right. He's a democratic socialist. Whatever the hell you want to call it, the label is nothing but an illusion. I think Zohran Mamdani is disguising himself as a communist to cover his real ideology, which is a radical Islamist. Unfortunately, though, for Zohran Mamdani, it might not matter which ideology he chooses, communism, democratic socialist, Marxist, Islamist. If this new legislation passes Congress, all of these anti-American ideologies, they would be banned. And the people who've been indoctrinated to believe in them, they could be deported. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Let's go and get to the sponsor for today's video, a brand that you will never have to worry about being anti-American, my good friends at American Attitude. Here in a couple of months, America will be celebrating its 250th birthday. 250 years of freedom, 250 years of being the greatest country on earth. Now, due to a certain political party that is anti-American, I'm sure July 4th will be intentionally divisive. But you can show your love and support for our country with patriotic gear from American Attitude. American Attitude is more than just a clothing brand. It is a movement for people who love faith, freedom, and a good punchline. They've got plenty of hats and t-shirts that celebrate 250 years of American freedom, but my personal favorite is the infidel t-shirts and hoodies where you're displaying your pride at being labeled as an infidel. They've also got patriotic hoodies and tumblers to keep the beverage of your choice iced during the summer. American Attitude strives to bring patriotic Americans together through humor and unapologetic American grit. So click the link in the description or the pinned comment below. Use my promo code BTL10, BTL10. Receive 10% off your first purchase with American Attitude. Headline at Newsweek: GOP bill would ban socialists and Marxists from United States. Chip Roy, a Republican representative from Texas, he is responsible for drafting this brilliant piece of legislation. Initially, I thought he was just targeting radical politicians who are intentionally destroying our country. That alone would have been good enough. But Chip Roy, he is one ambitious Texan. Not only is he targeting radical politicians like Omar Elon or Rashid Tlaib, Zohran Mamdani, he also wants to deport non-citizens who are proudly identifying with anti-American ideologies, which at this point would be damn near the entire party of the donkey. Now, I'm not entirely sure what Chip Roy means by non-citizens. I'm not sure if that means illegals or if it means people who were not born here in the United States. Either way, Uncle KC is fine with getting all of them the hell out of here. Normally, I would not support government intervention on issues involving free speech, but there's a difference in free speech and attempting to radicalize the country. There is a difference in disagreeing with someone like John Fetterman on abortion and Omar Elon turning Minnesota into a Somalian dump. If you're a communist, there are plenty of communist countries for you to choose from. Cuba, the People's Republic of China, along with their sister country, the People's Republic of California. There are plenty of places to live if you want to be reliant on the government to wipe your ass. But this bill, it was not designed to target communist or Marxist. The communists, the Marxists, they were added as a bonus. There is a reason Chip Roy named the bill the Mandani Act. This legislation, it is designed to combat radical Islam. With radical Islam, the process is always the same. They exploit immigration laws. They move into a country through political asylum, claiming to be oppressed in their home country. Oftentimes, they are leaving oppressive countries that are being governed under Sharia law with the intention of implementing Sharia law into the country they're moving into. The number one goal of radical Islam is to spread their ideology throughout the world. They're not asking to accept them. They're demanding to be accepted. They move into a country. They establish a neighborhood mosque. They claim to be the victims of religious oppression. They use your tolerance against you. They infiltrate local school boards. They become city councilmen. They become the mayor of a small town. Next thing you know, the Islamic call to prayer is waking you up every morning at 5 o'clock. Your kids come home from school telling you about mandatory prayer on the hallway carpet. Instead of the local citizens fighting back, they move. They get the hell out of there, which is exactly what radical Islamists want. They want you gone so they can take over. Once they are dominant in one town, Then they move to the neighboring town. Then they start infiltrating major cities. You wake up one morning and you realize that the number one name for children in England is now Muhammad. By the time you realize you're being infiltrated, it's too late. You see, radical Islam, it's like algae in a pool. While we were out of the country on vacation last week, I couldn't run my pool because the pollen was too heavy. With no one here to empty the skimmer basket, the pollen would build up in the pump system and burn up the pump. Had to leave the system off for 9 or 10 days. Naturally, I come home to algae in the pool. If you've ever had a pool, if you have ever dealt with an algae problem, then you already know it is imperative that you stop it early. Once you notice the first patch, once you notice the first little spot, you got to brush it and treat it immediately. If you don't, you get home from work later that afternoon, your entire pool covered in algae. That is how fast it can spread. That's how fast algae can get out of control. Radical Islam is the same way. It is critical to address it early. You can't allow it to spread, which is exactly what Chip Roy is doing with this bill. Now, will this legislation pass Congress? Maybe. Even if it does, I'm sure doofus Democrats will regain power at some point and overturn it, eliminate it. But I think Chip Roy is doing this to wake people up. You don't need government legislation to stop the spread of radical Islam. All you need is the majority of the country to recognize the problem. This will not be stopped at the federal level. It's got to be stopped at the local level. Otherwise, your hometown will soon look like New York City, with thousands of normal people leaving and thousands of Islamists turning Times Square into a public mosque. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.